If you're someone who justifies external forces, like third party, external forces that come your way, para hindi mo gawin yung trabaho mo, this is for you. The topic that we're going to talk about today, I'm very excited kasi I know you guys can relate and it will hit home for most of you. And it doesn't matter where you are in life, okay? And also applies to different aspects. Pwede sa buhay, sa negosyo, sa relationship. If you're someone who's fallen and now bumabangon ka, you're building, rebuilding, kahit nasaan ka ng journey mo, this episode is gonna be for you. Kasi it will talk about, okay, listen to this, it will talk about how to stop making excuses and actually how to catch yourself making them para magawa mo kung ano talaga yung dapat mong gawin. If you keep on doing things that you are bound to do or like you said that you're gonna do, kasi iba yun diba? May power din sa tao na nagsasalita lang, all talk, versus sa isang tao na they actually do what they say they're going to do. I was inspired to do this video kasi kakauwi ko lang din galing sa convention namin ng team ko in Texas. And even before that, talaga namang sobrang busy ng team namin. We had such a record-breaking year last year, which I was really happy about kasi I find lahat nung sacrifice, nung nag-hustle talaga kami, it really turned into outcome and positive results, right? So, nagkaroon kami ng napakagandang, I would say explosive growth last year. And this year, we have massive goals to hit. Now, having said that, sobrang busy ko, guys. And then I quickly realized na if I don't catch myself, getting distracted or making excuses, not only that, but actually justifying them, yung parang nagdadahilan ka pa kung bakit hindi mo ginagawa isang bagay, na-realize ko na it is so easy to get fallen behind. What do I mean by that? Kasi nandun pa rin ako sa era na, because I enjoyed what I do, I think na meron akong, lagi akong merong time to do things that I needed to do. Minsan hindi ko nakakatch yung sarili ko na parang, there's always tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow, right? Pero it's like a mañana thinking, there's always tomorrow, right? I'll do it tomorrow. Doon ko talaga naisip na parang hindi pwede to na parang, as we grow bigger, comes greater responsibility. So, na-inspire ako na gawin tong video na to because if you guys are in the position where you always catch yourself, man, I wish I could do this, kaya lang hindi ko magawa because, but, right? The because and the buts. Yun yung mga words na, nagja-justify kung bakit hindi mo ginagawa yung dapat sana nakakapag-improve ng buhay mo, dapat sana na nakaka-contribute ng personal growth mo, pero hindi mo ginagawa. Kasi bakit? And that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. Let's be real, okay? Kung negosyante ka ngayon, and I just use the business as an example kasi I can relate better and I can give you better example, okay? Sa negosyo, alam natin na we wear multiple hats, especially if you're starting out, okay? Kasi wala ka pang pera to leverage other people's time. And I talk about time is equals money. If you don't have money, then you leverage your time. If you don't have time, then you leverage your money to actually hire other people para i-leverage yung labor sa kanila. It's called outsourcing. But in order to relate back to what I was saying before, kapag negosyante ka, ang office hours natin is for when our eyes open up in the morning until we sleep in our bed. That's our office hours. Minsan nga, nasa banyo ka na or nagbe-break time ka na, kahit like quick break, you still do the work. Because, hey, that's what being entrepreneur is, okay? Given yun, especially kapag nagsastart ka palang mag-build. Now, on the same note, kasi nga, lagi tayong nag-hustle, we are very prone to being burnout, right? Kasi minsan hindi na natin natatrack na lagi na lang tayo on the go. And it will hit the point where you'd shut down, talagang lahat ng motivation, inspiration, lahat talagang mag-go down the drain. And that's also when I say you gotta pace it out a little bit. You gotta slow it down. Kapag tinatanong ako ng mga tao, Sarah, how do you balance it out? I would love to give you my honest insight about the balance, about the word balance. Kapag nagbi-build ka, right? Kasi ako, what are my roles? I'm a mom, I'm also a wife, right? I have a husband to take care of, but I'm also a nurse. Then I also have duties in our church. I'm an agency owner. I have many different roles, right? If you think about it. The word balance to me, especially at the beginning, kasi lalo na kapag may set goals ka, something's gonna get compromised. In fact, I don't believe in balance, at least in the beginning. Kasi you're scrambling to try to figure out what works out. Kasi hindi mo naman yan ma-figure out right at the beginning, right? It's something that will come along the way as you figure out how to do things your way. Number one yon. Now, I find there's two different people in this space. The very first one is what I just talked about. Kung ikaw yung taong nagha-hustle and you really try to be laser focused on your goal, talagang hustle ang culture mo, it will get to the point where, yes, you can pace it out a little bit. Okay? In fact, advice ko rin yan sa mga advisor ko na parang you gotta do some self-care too because there's no good of being an empty cup too. Okay? So that's another story. Now, hindi yun yung kind of person that I'm talking about in this video. The second type of person, okay, which is what I'm talking about here, are the people that they think they're doing the work, but it's actually either fake work or not really doing it and making excuses to cover it up, okay? So what do I mean by this? I'm talking about you. And I'll give you a clue, okay? If you use the word but in a sentence, this is what it looks like. Okay, Sarah, I am going to do this, but, or I can learn this, but. So there's always a but. And ang advice ko sa inyo guys, kung makakatch nyo yung sarili nyo, what kind of reasons you're giving to yourself, and most of them, guys, I can confidently say they are excuses, okay? Because you have a mañana thinking that there's always gonna be tomorrow, but we all know that's not true, right? I do a lot of life insurance as part of my financial service business. I tell that to my clients, like, you really don't have the guarantee that there will be tomorrow, right? Same here. We have that mañana thinking, and that gives us so much comfort not to do the hard thing because there's always gonna be tomorrow. And now, ito naman ang tanong ko because you might be wondering, Sarah, you know, I don't really do that. I try to do things talaga naman, itatry ko, ipupush ko. But let me tell you this, kahit na sinasabi mo yan sa sarili mo, right? Kasi, I mean, who wants to self-sabotage ourselves, right? Kasi gusto mo maging successful eh, bakit ka naman mag-excuses deliberately? Now, most of the time, guys, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, and I catch myself, even myself, doing the same thing. That's why isa sa pinopromote ko when it comes to self-growth is increase your awareness. You know, the moment that you acknowledge that you're making excuses, that you're trying everything you can to avoid the real work, right? By doing fake works on the side. And I'm gonna talk about that later. Ano ba yung mga fake works, okay? That's when you can really truly be able to mitigate it. Kapag naging self-aware ka lang na, oh, I catch myself na this is excuse. Like, you know, this is not gonna help with what I'm trying to accomplish. Yun yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, guys. It's not because na we want to self-sabotage ourselves. It's because, I'm gonna tell you now, there's two reasons. Number one, you are way too comfortable, okay? And I'm gonna give you an example. So sa business ko, right? I'm in a financial service business. I have an agency. Technically in sales industry, like, kasi syempre nag-offer kami, nagko-consult kami ng solutions to financial problems. Ang uncomfortable naman, Sarah, to talk strangers, to talk to people, always calling them in random times. I don't want to annoy anybody, right? It's too uncomfortable to do the real work. So what do I do? Okay, so what can somebody do para ma-justify yung sarili na, no, I'm actually doing the work. But it's actually just a form of, you know, doing a side work to cover up or to avoid from actually doing the work. And this is actually my personal experience. Para ma-justify ko dati yung, you know, hindi pagtawag sa mga client or like not talking to strangers, not networking, kasi yun talaga yung bread and butter ng business na to. I would always do these little things like maybe posting online, social media, gumagawa rin ako ng reels, okay? And I did them randomly. When I say randomly, kung part siya ng strategy mo ng pag, you know, lead generation mo, dun mo kinukuha yung clients mo, fine. Okay? But for me, it wasn't part of my strategy. At least in the beginning, gusto ko lang i-reassure yung sarili ko na, no, actually may ginagawa naman talaga ako sa business ko. Ang ginagawa ko is nagpo-post ako sa social media. Pero, yung mga pinakamahalaga na dapat mong gawin sa business mo, and for me, I was guilty of this, is I wasn't making phone calls, I wasn't meeting new people, I wasn't really doing the real work that could move my business. Kasi takot ako. I was pretty shaky to even think about that I needed to call strangers, na I needed to start from the ground. Kasi somehow I had this ego that, man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to prospect. I don't want to open up conversation kasi I'm more than that. But you're just telling yourself all these excuses by doing these fake works. And I'm not saying that they're not helping your business. But again, if they're part of your strategy, great, then focus on that. But deep in your heart that you have something better to do, all right, that you're not doing because you are afraid in doing them. Instead, you pat yourself on the back, you do this little fake works, and you justify them that this is something that's going to help in your business. So that's number one, making excuses, doing the fake work. So now we become aware, okay, for when we have these excuses. Okay? So now hopefully we can catch ourselves in, whenever we tell that to ourselves. Pero bakit ba natin talaga ginagawa yung mga bagay na yun? And sometimes unknowingly. Which leads me to my first point, okay? The first point I have is you probably have not decided that you're ready to do the work, that you are actually going to do the work. So to make it clearer, parang ganito to. If I get this done today, then it'd be nice, right? But if not, no big deal kasi there's tomorrow. And that alone, ibig sabihin, hindi ka pa nagde-decide that you really want to do it. You're kind of still on the fence. Making a decision to actually do it is harder, okay? Let me repeat it. It's harder to make a decision than to actually do the thing. And why? Why do you think that is? Kasi, kaya ka nahihirapan sa mga bagay na dapat mong gawin kasi yung mind mo hindi pa decided. Kasi kapag ako nag-decide na okay, ang gagawin ko ito. So, all of a sudden, what I see is a step-by-step blueprint. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. But if you haven't gone over the hump of telling to yourself na ito na yung gagawin natin, ito na, final na talaga to, then your mind is kind of fighting between ano ba, gagawin ba natin to o hindi natin to gagawin. Okay? So the very first thing that you need to do is to decide. And you need to go all in with the decision. So, ang sinasabi ko naman sa decision, kapag nag-decide ka na, don't ever look back. Always go move forward. Because that is the first point. Okay? So, kunyari, magtitake ka ng bagong course. Ano ba, titake ko ba to o hindi? First, you gotta decide. And when you decide, you can't go back. Right? You can't think about the decision-making process again because you've already decided. Okay? So, along with this, also, be decisive. Kailangan firm ka. Kapag nag-decide ka, that's your decision. Kasi, babalik na naman tayo dun sa self-credibility. Kung nag-decide ka, tapos hindi ka naman firm, what are you doing? You're indecisive. Right? So, dun mo talaga self-sabotage yung sarili mo. Again, sa pagnenegosyo, okay, are we gonna do this? If you're gonna do this, then be firm with it. Be at peace that you're gonna do it and get ready. Okay? Doon mo na gagawin yung mga dapat mong gawin, and because you're decided, it will be a lot easier kasi it has something to do with expectations too, di ba? Once you've decided, you expect an outcome. If you haven't decided, you don't really know what the outcome is kasi nga parang in a limbo ka. So, okay, I'll give you an example so you can better relate, okay? I have my podcast channel, okay? So, before, nung nagre-release ako ng mga podcast episode, it takes me a long time to publish each episode. Bakit kamo? Kasi, deep down, ang talaga naman nararamdaman ko noon, nahihiya ako, napapagod ako, kasi parang ang uncomfortable naman when people actually start to hear my voice, diba? Kasi ako nga, nakikringyhan ako sa voice ko ng time na yon. So what would I do to actually feel myself better? So ang gagawin ko, wait lang, mag-script writing muna ako, magre-research muna ako, tapos lahat ng equipment ko dapat maganda muna, nakaset up muna sila bago ako mag-record. And then by the time few days have passed, weeks have passed, hindi pa rin ako nakaka-publish ng kahit anong episode. Because that's what you call analysis paralysis. Okay, so analysis paralysis kasi feeling ko I need to perfect everything because I didn't catch myself making excuses along the way. Guys, alam mo ngayon, ang mantra ko na ngayon is progress over perfection. You know, the first two videos nga, hindi ko alam if you guys have noticed, pero medyo grainy sila. So my editor, they were like, Sarah, they're a little bit grainy. What do you want to do about it? And I'm like, nothing. You just keep publishing it because what matters, guys, is the message. Okay? If I can get the message across to you, then I know masaya na ako nun kasi I've already been able to provide value. So, make sure you catch yourself making these excuses and, don't get paralyzed na parang kailangan perfect lahat. Meron ako nito, meron akong ganyan. Decide on what you need to do, and then better yet, when you're deciding, put a date on it, put a time on it, okay? Put a deadline on it. Kasi, di ba nga ba sinasabi nila, a goal without a deadline is a dream. Okay? Kaya ako kapag nag-set ako ng goal and nag-decide ako na kunin yung goal na yon, I always attach a date or a timeline to it. So ngayon nakapag-decide na kayo and you're actually getting good, develop the habit of catching yourself when you have these excuses. Kasi kapag na-catch nyo yung sarili nyo, you can talk to yourself and then you can comfort it in a way na hindi tayo magiging comfortable, pero dahil ina-acknowledge nyo na uncomfortable siya, and it's okay because you've decided. That's why the decision part is very, very important. Doon nyo talaga mararamdaman yung peace na it's okay. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. Okay? It's okay to feel uneasy, to do things that you've never done before. Kasi nakakatakot, di ba? Even nga tong pag-YouTube, right? Harap ka sa camera. Nakakatakot kasi I'm like, oh my gosh, what if people judge me? Or what if people think different of me? And again, go back to my previous episode, you will feel different. As long as you know na ito yung mga bagong expectation nyo as you have a new path to walk on. Kasi nga entrepreneur ka na, di ba? Ano na yung next? Nakapag-decide ka na. Ito guys, secret ko to. And I think this is the best kept secret. Kung paano ko na-achieve yung na-achieve ko in such a short period of time, okay? When people ask me, Sarah, how did you do it? Okay? Because you're a mom, you're this, you're a nurse, you run your agency. How did you do it? I always do everything with speed. As in, S-P-E-E-D. Mabilis ako. So, bakit mabilis? What does it have to do with success? Kasi guys, if you move with speed, you're not giving excuses at time. Yung mga excuses na pina-formulate mo sa utang mo, you don't give it a time to creep in. Kasi ginagawa mo na yung dapat mong gawin right away. I'll give you an example. When I think of an idea, I don't know about you guys, pero ako, nakakaisip ako na brilliant ideas. In fact, some of the greatest ideas I had popped in random times and places. So, para makuha ko yun, makapture ko yung mga ideas na yun, I always carry a notebook or a notepad, tapos kailangan kong isulat yun. And within 5 minutes, because that's kind of like my rule of thumb, within 5 minutes of thinking about it, I have to write it down. I talked about this in the previous episode. When you write something down, again, you're using your muscle. You're seeing it, you're thinking about it, so it's actually starting to engrave sa utak mo. You don't have to do like grand things about your idea right away. It could be just as simple as writing it down sa notebook mo nga, okay? So pag nasulat mo yun, ang gagawin ko pag uwi ko, I won't let a day pass by that I will not execute on that idea, okay? May it be creating a script o kaya researching about it. See, by the time other people think of an idea, tapos sasabihin nila, teka lang, kakausapin ko muna yung asawa ko, i-consult ko muna sa ganito, o kaya mag-research muna ako dito, before I finally decide I'm gonna do it, right? By the time, other people do all these little things, okay? The fake works. I've already tried many things. I've already done it. I've already failed many times over. And I already figured out a way kung paano gawin yung isang bagay na yon. Yun yung kaibahan ko sa ibang tao, guys. I have no problem in failing. I actually love it. I embrace it. I have no problem trying new things. What scares me actually is if I stay where I am. Kung parang feeling ko stagnant lang ako, and if I don't try new things, that's what scares me. But that's also what's responsible for the success that I have. Kasi I always move with speed, right? And I don't look for validation. So when I launched my podcast, I didn't know anybody, at least in my personal network na nag-launch ng podcast. I didn't really have proper mentorship on how to do it. With a lot of things too. Nag-ads din ako, or I did a lot of things. Nag-email list din ako, email list building. And I just tried them, failed at them, and figured out a way on how to do it. What's the takeaway here? Okay, the takeaway here is hindi mo talaga alam yung blueprint right at the beginning. And number one is you need to decide that you're gonna be okay even if it means you'll have little failures along the way. Kasi failures are inevitable. Kasi sinabi ko rin sa ibang video ko, diba, na kapag magta-try ka ng bago, okay, there's gonna be, a level of failure. Okay? And not all failures are created equally. Pero you have to be okay with it. Kasi failure is not the opposite of success. Kailangan mo nun so you can learn from them and take it to what will take you to success. I think that's really what's different with me is I move in such a speed, okay? Because I embrace failures and I have the proper mentorship, knowing that you're gonna fail. Obviously, you wanna get mentored to, again, mitigate the damage of the failure, right? Or cut the learning curve, right? So that's what the mentorship is for, but I'll do another video for that. Okay, guys, I hope you learned from this video. And the takeaway here is, number one, you have to decide, bago mo pa gawin kung anong dapat mong gawin, number one is you gotta decide na ito talaga yung gusto mong gawin. Okay? Because I promise you, you're gonna self-sabotage yourself and you're gonna start feeling hopeless, you're gonna start feeling defeated kasi feeling mo hindi ka enough, when in fact, you just haven't simply decided yet. And then the next one is you always have to take, kahit mga small steps lang yan, but you always gotta do it in speed, okay? Kailangan mabilis ka, hindi ka na nagkakaroon ng time. Kasi time creates doubt. Sa sales ang tawag namin dyan is time kills the deal. That's why you always gotta make sure that you walk your client through this process and, keep them empowered to make decisions, series of decisions along the way para ma-close mo siya. Guys, same thing here. You always have to keep moving forward, kahit maliliit lang na steps. And make sure you're doing the real work, not the fake works. I hope this video helps you. I'll see you in the next one.